there's actually somebody who does that very well, and that is Maxim, who many of you know, I think, not only from being here in the room, but also being very active on social media, being one of our first Together ambassadors, and also, I think, running for local elections, fighting the European progressive cause in Belgium. So, Maxime, maybe you can share a few thoughts with us on your engagement, why you want to be active on Europe, and then afterwards, as I said, you will have the floor and we will have your questions. Merci.
Thank you very much, Uta. As we spoke earlier today, with Trump creating a sort of a new world order, this also brought with us a new economic order, and I think we need to shift towards an economy of well-being. And to do so, civil society is really, really crucial, and that's when our network needs to step in. You can all become ambassadors of our project now. You are very engaged, and now it's our task to spread our social democratic values across many, many projects and across many institutions, because it's really, really necessary. For myself, I was part of the African Union, European Union Youth Plug-in Initiative, and some of the ideas that were pretended there were far from social democratic. So it's a task for a huge network like we are now to spread the word as much as possible, and only then we can change things in the field, because now the other parties, let's be honest, have a monopoly on that. Of course, we need very strong institutions for that, because also right-wing parties are trying to abuse the institutions and put them in a bad daylight towards us. We need to make sure that we keep our focus on our main topics like inequality, gender balance, climate change, because if we don't do this, nobody will, and this is extremely crucial. We also need to be focused on those new competences like the creativity, like cultural diversity, and make sure that those values, who are inherent to our social democratic values, are the basics of an educational system all over Europe. To be more focused on climate change and circular economy. Circular economy is, of course, very, very important, but we need to make sure that a circular economy is inclusive and is affordable to everyone. Because most of the time, if a product or something is more durable, more sustainable, this means that this also has a higher cost to produce. So we need to make sure that people who have less money, who come from, who have less opportunities in life, also can benefit from that circular economy, and that's where our group has a very, very big task to make sure that circular economy is also social economy. How will we fund that? Well, to my opinion, it's very crucial, next to the financial transaction tax, that we also do a tax shift from tax on labor towards tax on production. And as it was said by someone of you before, we need to keep the taxes on the local level, and this will also ensure that there is a sort of restoring trust in politics, basically. And this will bring back some of the crucial values that has been lost along the way, and that is very crucial to do politics in general. Of course, as social democrats, we need to keep the focus also on businesses, because businesses are very crucial and are enablers of a circular economy. There are also incubation centers, which will turn the theory into strategy. And that's also where we need to show businesses that they become also front runners towards corporate social responsibility. And this means that there are legal requirements for the multinational corporations to increase their corporate social responsibility within, for example, European Investment Bank financial investments, and facilitation of structured dialogue to align those corporate social responsibility with the development agendas in both Europe and Africa. Very importantly, cities are one of our major focal points because they are the very first incubation centers and they are the closest to the citizens. So if we want our values to be seen and to be spread, then cities are crucial. And also cities need to be sustainable. But not only cities, we also need to make sure that we are very focused on rural together, because most of the time rural areas are more conservative than cities, so we need to make sure that we are very focused on the even more local rural areas and listen to them, of course. Crucial is also a concept we have written down in our Abidjan Youth Declaration, and that is the city shapers. And that's expanding city twinning to include joint youth learning and initiatives on concrete urban, social, ecological and government challenges. It was a pilot project where local authorities, schools and universities co-create solutions around a digital transition for sustainable cities and follow up with what we call blending facilities like the investments of the European Investment Bank and also private capital. As a last point, I want to go back to climate change. There is a big role for us youth to make a change on that, and youth inclusion is very key to ensure that environmental preservation and to address the climate change. It is up to our generation to change this course. And as we wrote it down in our declaration, youth-led initiatives must be supported to counterbalance existing tendencies and interests that works against the environment. As a first generation, we bear the brunt of that climate change and the environmental disruption, and we must urgently work together on common challenges, and it is crucial that we find an inclusive, fair and sustainable ways to govern national resources both locally and globally. As a last very important point, it's about environmental justice. Environmental justice needs to be both geographical but also intergenerational, and it must be the basis on which global policies are built. It is crucial for us Social Democrats to mobilize youth and to give them a role in monitoring development projects while guaranteeing the efficacy of the impact assessment. So this means that we need to make sure that we as youth are everywhere and we look if the structures on which these development projects are built are very well funded and are contributing towards those goals. To wrap up, two very important things we need to remember as a youth. Always keep the intergenerational talks alive. We have to learn a lot from each other. Both we need to listen to the elder generations, but also we need to make sure that our youth values are very strong and we are the voice of the future, but also the voice of the future can and will be a shared voice all across all generations. And to finalize, the most important thing for me, I guess, is make our values, our social democratic values, valuable again to everyone. And let's do this, as always, together. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Maxim. An inspiring speech. I think you conclude with a very important message, namely to do that together. And as you said, it's up to all of you and us to work on that. In terms of approach,